Good morning, welcome to the show. If you are not already following, please like and subscribe or drop a comment below. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking about today is salmon rod setup, maybe some reels, a couple of rods that I like, and a couple of different setups that I've seen. So I have a new mug that my mother-in-law bought me. Not sure if y'all can see this. It's got all these different fish. So let's talk about reels. There's three main reels that we usually see, whether it's salmon, trout, or steelhead fishing. And it's either center line, spinning reels, or bait casting reels. I'm going to talk mostly today about spinning reels because it's a personal favorite of mine. I've used the others as well, but for me, I just like the ease of use and just the variety of spinning reels on today's market. So I'll have two here today that are my current setups, and we'll talk about each of these just a little bit. We'll talk about the rods that we associate them with as well, and then kind of what the gear looks like as we get out to the hook set at the very end. So this one's on my current setup. Let's take this off. This is a Shimano Spirex 2500. Right now it currently has spider wire 25-pound braid with a tippet of 20 pounds as well, and then I have a leader on the end of that. For the Shimano Spirex, I like the double ends here. And another thing that Shimano has on this one, it's the ability for this trigger finger right there, which is actually going to be put onto my wife's rod for her salmon setup, is going to be this Pflueger President 35. So on this as well, there's spider wire, but there's 35-pound braid on here. And then I'm going to have a tippet of 20-pound fluorocarbon on the end of that. And we'll talk about that line here in a little bit. But the President 35, very smooth action, cork handle, and it's, I believe, a 5-ball bearing, but it's something that I actually have been coming to enjoy, is Pflueger's and Shimano reels. But those are the two spinning reels that we have. And I have two rod setups that I have. I have a 10-6 and I have an 8-6. So my 8-6 and my 10-6, they are both ugly sticks. Cork on the end. We have elongated tail here. Medium action. So I like the feel of a medium action, and then I try to pair that reel with the rod. So you want to make sure there's balance there when you have the reel on there and you have the rod set up. So I look for those two things when I'm looking for new rods and reel setups. So now that we've talked about the rods and reels, there's a couple different things that you can actually go with here. So I love spinning, so I always have an assortment of different colors of spinners, depending on what fish are feeling like. So I have a couple assorted spinners here. Make sure when you're attaching a spinner, you always have a swivel at the end of that. That's to just allow it to free flow in the water a little bit better, and then prevent tangle ups and bird's nest on your spinning reels. So that's one setup I like to go with. The other setup I like is twitch jigging, which is something new that I've been getting into. Twitch jigging, mostly for use for coho, but Chinook, I've seen it a couple times where they'll go after it even if they're not hungry. So what I have on both of these lines is going to be spider wire. Spider wire is stealth braid. It's fluorescent because I like to see it in the water, and what I like about this braid is it floats. It floats really well, and that's a plus for me because I want to make sure as I'm drift fishing that I'm able to drift or floating. I want to make sure that I can see the line and that it stays on the top. At the end of my braid, I have fluorocarbon from R-Line. This one right here is a 12-pound test, and this one's specifically used for salmon or steelhead. So I combo those two together. And then on the other end of the spectrum, if we're not using hardware like this, jigs or spinners, we're going to be mostly bobber dogging either on the bottom, or we're going to be floating along the river, casting upriver and letting it come down into the strike zone, wherever that water column is that they sit in. So we'll go over how to set this up here in a little bit, but I just want to get that out of the way. What are the setups that we're going to be using out in Olympic National Park? Okay, so I'm going to just go through real quick how to do the setup. I'm going to speed it up in some fast forward time just so you can kind of watch, rewind back as many times as you like. This is just a setup that I'm going to be using while we're out fishing. I'm going to start from the top. I'm going to work down the bottom of the line. So first thing I'm going to add on here is going to be a bobber stop. So the bobber stops that I really like to use are these. It's a ball with a small little stopper. and then the stopper holds the line as there's pressure applied, so it creates a bobber stop. So the thing about floats is you want to pair your float, if you're going inline, you want to pair your inline float with an inline sinker of about the same weight. You can give or take about 1/8 of an ounce on either one of them, but you don't want to have a deviation too much. So next we'll move on to hooks. So I'm using 3/0 hooks right now. 3/0, 3/0. They're going to be octopus hooks. They hold bait better, whether you're going to be using sand shrimp or eggs. They hold skein really well. So I'm going to be going with these. And I'm going to have 2 on there, but make sure that you look at the regulations of the river you're going to be on. This is going to be my first hook I'm going to put on here. And I'm going to have the same fluorocarbon that I used come off this inline to the hook. Now that I've got the float set up, I have my bump stop, I have my float, I have my bead, and I have my inline. From my inline to my hook, I'm going to go about 18 inches right now. 12 to 24 inches is good, depending on where the river you're going to be at. And then you can adjust your bump stop on the top to what that's going to look like. But I'm going to add 18 inches of that fluorocarbon here. Now at the end of my last hook, I'm going to run one of these. So it's going to be a soft bead with that same hook on the end. I'm going to show you how to set that up. So we have pink soft beads, and then we have bead stoppers. We're going to tie on a hook. And this hook is going to be tied to about, once again, 12 to 18 inches of this fluorocarbon. Once that's done, we're going to take one of these stoppers and you're going to run the line through the metal hoop, run your line through the metal hoop, and then pull the stopper through the line, and it'll make them, it will mate them. And then I'm going to take this stopper and I'm going to take it all the way down to the hook. Probably about a good inch right before the hook. Take my bead. I'm going to run my bead down to the stopper. Make sure you hold the stopper as you're squeezing the bead towards it. And you want to get something like this. Salmon like to hit this. And then I'm going to tie this end to the other end of my hook.